welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stu Booth.
I'm John from you, here.
Berlin.
On the mark. On the mark.
What was that?
On the mark.
It's because I'm out of sync because we've not done this in like 6 months.
I know, it's mental, isn't it? I can't believe all the fans have missed us though. I didn't know we were that important.
Fan. Just Henry. Yeah, apologies to everybody. Our stars are not quite aligning at the moment.
No,
are they, Jack?
not.
We're busy bees. Unfortunately, this is a hobby, not a paid job.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we don't get paid niche for this. Other than maybe trying out a few challenges.
Yeah, no, it's like you're saying, there's a thing called work that's got in the way this last few weeks.
It's
and
just
because we
terrible.
don't work together anymore, or in the same place, and anybody who knows Dubai is that although we can kind of almost see each other's places to a degree.
If it was a straight line, it's probably 7-8 minutes drive.
Yeah.
But there's no straight line in Dubai.
And the traffic's just like so stars aren't aligning, but we'll do what we can over the next few weeks, and then we'll see what happens. But we're back and we're ready to go.
We are back, and we're going to start with our sporting week. But we did have a challenge the other day.
We did actually. That was good.
So I took Jack to the old bowling, the Loan Association bowling. So we went down with the Dubai Loan Association. I think it's just called the Dubai Bowling Club. So we went down there. It's played on a bizarre surface. It's an AstroTurf, but it's more of it's a concrete base with an AstroTurf overlay.
It's like a bit of an indoor cricket net, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly
that's what it is. Sort of
so we went down there and we partnered up with somebody else and we played against each other. Firstly, how did you find it?
It was good, enjoyable. I think we had a go, didn't we, at school? I don't know when that was, like 6-7 months ago, was it?
Time ago.
And like I said, I've had a bit of a dabble in the past. I remember when I was a journalist having a go. There's a bit like what we did, a bit of a feature. And then Bish, who I used to work with back in England, who's my brother's best friend, his father-in-law actually runs the Lawn Bowls Club opposite where I used to teach, ironically. And I'm pretty sure that Bish had a birthday party there. It's an August birthday, one summer, and it happened to be the open day as well. So
I thought you were going to say Bish had a bowling party.
Yes, well, it kind of was. And there's this big, and there's all these open tournaments going on, and your people were playing. Gosh, you used to go up and down, but because that many of them going across, and we had a good laugh. And ironically, one of our other mates, Tails, actually won the open bowls thing. So we had a dabble before, and I actually quite enjoy it, and I did enjoy it Sunday morning. Definitely very what you call it, subdued start to the morning. Yeah, relaxation.
It's a nice little start. 2 hours, so we had a good game. You were partnered up with Ryan.
Ryan, yeah, left-hander.
And I was partnered up with Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
I can't remember his name. We're going to call him Jeffrey because I think he suits Jeffrey's name. Yeah, he looked like a Jeffrey anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, good time. Unfortunately, Jack was on the losing side.
Yeah, I'll be honest. We're partnered up. You're like, he's the best player. Ryan's the best player.
In that cluster of people that were there that morning, he is the best player. And
he didn't really come to the fore, did he, till the last couple of legs, if I'm honest.
There was one where he pushed a few out of the way and scored 5.
Yeah.
Which kind of then brought the game right back into talk. Because I think we went 9-0 up. Then he kind of got to, we were 17-something up. Then he got to 17, 14, 17, 15. I was like, oh, this is going to be close. And then we just demolished it.
And then Barnes and Wallace came.
Yeah, with balancing bombs. 22-15, I think it finished.
Yeah, it was good. It was enjoyable 2 hours, and I liked it.
Yeah, good start today. So there's another challenge for Stu. Ching Ching.
I don't know what the score is now.
23-1, I think.
7-1.
Apart from that, a little bit, since we've not been here for a while, a bit of cricket.
Yes, we've played 2 games since then, and, we've played too much depth. We won both games by 10 wickets.
Oh, not just won them, demolished them.
Yeah, demolished them. So we played. So a week ago, Mid-East Metals, who are, I think I said in the pod the week before, that they are one of the biggest corporate teams in Dubai. They're probably not as strong as they have been, but they've still got 5 or 6 really good players. And yeah, we demolished them. To be fair, the bowlers did the job. Bowled them out for 122, 123, something like that. And then me and Clint knocked them off for no wicket in 15 overs or whatever it was. So that was a win and a bonus point. And then we went to Ajman on Saturday morning for 8 o'clock start there for 7. So it's just a day at work. That's it. And we played Dubai Lions.
Great name.
Yeah, and in the Lions' den. And we won again. So this time
Again by 10 wickets.
Again by 10 wickets. Then one of their lads got 100, batted really well, but they didn't really have a lot, or nobody else we managed to sort of keep a lid on the other squad. So we were chasing 182, and again won by 10 wickets in 17 overs, which was a club record partnership for any wicket.
And I'd say probably best form you've probably entailed since you've been in Dubai.
Yeah, I mean, I've got alright since the start of the season. That touch wood. I'll be honest, didn't bat
Just this weekend.
I didn't bat particularly well, or didn't time the ball particularly well on Saturday, but it didn't matter when Clint was just dropping bombs at the other end. He got 100, so all good. So we've won 3 on the bounce now. We're looking in decent shape going into this weekend. We play Ajman Heroes at the Sevens.
Oh, at the Sevens, so Ajman Heroes at the Sevens.
Yeah, on our patch, lad. On our patch. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, looking good. Seconds have not struggled, but I think I said before, they've kind of been pitched in the wrong league. So they're playing to get like on Saturday. They played a side called All Stars, and by all accounts, a lot of them went UAE. So they did okay there, to be fair. One of their debutants smashed 50 off 28 balls, and it was captained by Ian Cavian, who's only 17. So we're happy with what we're doing there. They've just been probably placed in a league.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, I think it's because, and I might have said it before, that a lot of clubs just enter almost the same team in both all those bottom leagues, whereas we've gone first and second. So. But there we go, so all in all going well. And you had a game, not this week, but last Thursday.
So we're currently recording on Thursday morning.
Thursday morning, yeah.
So we played last Thursday evening. We played Redbacks, who drew their opening game of the season to our reserve team, 3-3. And it turns out that Redbacks had a player sent off after 8 minutes, the centre back was telling me. And they drew 3-3 with our Rezzies. DHL Dragons as they're called.
DHL Dragons.
But yeah, we started well, started sharp. I think we were 3 or 4 up at half time. Kicked in the second half, finished 12-0.
12-0. Yeah. It was that big a score that on the app it could only go up to 10.
Yeah, it stopped at 10. But the good thing is that I think unlike previous seasons, we are ruthless. There's an element of everybody wants to get the score sheets. There's that drive that keeps going, and people want to pitch in, and we're just not letting teams off, which we kind of sometimes last season left teams back in the game, and then done a bit more like Liverpool have been this season. End up conceding late on and drawing games, and I think what we're doing at the moment is not putting anything to chance, and we're just going tough.
Do you think that's because? Or an element of, because you've lost those players, do you think there's a bit of that, like subconsciously you've got to sort of prove that they've made the wrong decision? Or
No, but it's funny because we talked about it, but I think what's happened is the loss of some of them players has meant that the squad's freshened up. Right. So rather than potentially keeping some of them players, and look, I'm not saying anything bad against them players because two of them players won the joint players player of the season last year. So Steph and Heggs. Obviously key starters for us, but because they're not there now, we've had to then go and recruit more players and different players. So it's meant that we freshened the squad up, and then we changed our formation as well, which just allows me to drop into pockets. So rather than being like that focal point of an attack, so the ball gets played into and everyone's going back to goal, what happens now is the other lad that puts in front of me kind of pushes into that, onto the last defender, and then I drop into like a number 10 role. But then also happens is that Pooley, the ex-United lad, he then becomes the second striker. So defenders don't go in with me because Pooley pushes on. So I allow pockets of space to pick up the ball, and then I can do what I need to do. Or they do come in with me, and then the ball through for Pooley's on. So we're just finding and creating opportunities, and then like I'm saying is that when we get them opportunities, we are just being just horrible at the moment.
I think that's a bit similar to us the last 2 weeks. Both of them, when we've been batting me and Clinton, have gone. That's just got to a certain point when you kind of sense you can do it with no wicket, and like even on Saturday when he got this 100, he was tired because bear in mind he's had to bowl 5 overs in the heat and he's a madman in the field, like, and it would have been quite easy for him just to sort of, I'll get this finished, and not deliberately get out, but like it doesn't matter, I've done my job. And I said to him, come on, let's be ruthless, because we've now won 2 games without losing a wicket, 300 and whatever runs. So I think got to be ruthless in sport, right?
Oh, we are shadow. But the good thing was, well, we don't know. The camera appeared. The league recorded the game, and the league is run by Neil, and Neil plays for Dubai FC. So obviously the opening statement of beating SAF 8-1 has made a mark. They then recorded the next game. We won 12-0.
20 goals in 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's ruthless.
yeah, we're pretty bad. But the good thing is that I'm on 7 now. So 4 goals.
How did you score last year?
13. So I'm halfway to my last season's total of 2 games. But some decent goals in there. I did have one disallowed, which when you look back on the camera, goes over the line. It hit the bar, goes over the line, and then pings itself out. But didn't have that one chalked. Well, I had it chalked off, but I'm not going to grumble about too much. Swings and roundabouts. As Charlie would say, all comes out
in the wash.
But yeah, it's looking good. But I did show you the 2.
Yeah, very good.
2 of the 4.
The last one's naughty, mate. It's just being ruthless. And
the goalkeeper one, the 4th goal.
Then it was like watching FIFA. It's like watching me play FIFA. Just slide tackle. That's what he was doing. He just bobs around.
It was a bit naughty, that one. But we've got no game tonight, so we've got training. But Dubai FC, who last year's league winners, play DHL Dragons.
Are you going to watch that then?
Well, I'm just going to go training. I'm not. I think our gaffer was on about going to watch it, so I think I was leaving training, but I'm waiting to hear back from him. So I might nip up afterwards. It depends. I'm a bit tired from watching the Liverpool game last night, so I'm not really that bothered. But hey, right. So we have got a whole host of different things to look at because we've missed like a week and a half. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick recap of some of the football results. We're going to have a little look at some of the cricket because that's coming up. And then we're also going to have a look at the rugby league as that started its tournament and how England were faring in that one. But what we're not going to do, we're not going to go back too far because it's just all news and nobody wants to talk about all news. So we're going to skip forward to Wednesday, 12th of October. So we're not going to go back to last Sunday. Say that, Henry. But we're going to start with what potentially could be the changing point in Liverpool season.
I was going to say, so we're going to really sort of focus on Liverpool and Spurs.
And we'll cover the games from the last night and some from the weekend. But yeah, mainly Liverpool. But I think for Liverpool, going 1-0 down at Ibrox could have been a real tough time for Jurgen, and especially the crowd up there and the atmosphere. But didn't just come through it. They were ruthless. This is the word of the day today, ruthless. In the end, winning 7-1 and almost put themselves beyond catching the qualification. They need one more point, I think, from the next 2 games to qualify.
And Salah, the fastest Champions League hat-trick.
Yeah, 6 minutes. 6 minutes, I think 20-something seconds. So unbelievable. But the good thing was that kind of kicked on for Salah. Nunes got in the sheet as well. So a lot of good aspects came off that, and then that helped them lead into the weekend playing City.
Yep.
Which was an intriguing game. It could have gone many different ways.
Yeah.
It didn't, and it all came down to the slightest misjudgment.
Yeah, from
Cancelo, who would arguably say has probably been one of City's best defenders in the last couple of seasons, and probably had a great start this season. But it's that one slight error that ends up costing you the game.
Yeah, and exactly. And great finish there. Great vision from Alisson. He's dead good at that, isn't he?
Yeah.
Great finish. Salah looked back to his more composed self there, and he never looked like not scoring, did he?
No.
Whereas probably a week ago you questioning.
But did you see Pep? The shot put camera on Pep.
As
soon as he sees Salah go through, he just drops his knees.
Yeah, I just think that I've looked back at watching it on Sky Sports Monday, You know, when they did the review of all the things, and there's a lot of talk about, you know, why did Pep change the tactics, things like that. I think there was two things I put from that. One, I don't think they're really giving Liverpool much credit. It's always easy to say, and I'll talk about the Spurs game last night in a bit, but Liverpool were kind of back to that high press where they've been in for the last, 5 years since Klopp's been there, whatever. And also, you know, in that instance there, I feel a bit for Cancelo because, there's one slight mistake. It's his mistake, no problem. But it's a bit arrogant, isn't it, just leave one-on-one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a case of, I think maybe when it's initially gone to Alisson, Salah, I think when the ball's come in, Salah's on the edge of the area. So I think there's a City player that Salah runs past initially and then he ends up putting himself one-on-one with Cancelo. It wasn't in the corner, was it? It was a free kick.
Yeah.
It was a bad ball by De Bruyne.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's other elements to it, isn't there?
But I think for any neutral that wants the Premiership to be open, that was the best possible result because it kind of doesn't bring Liverpool back into the fold by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives Arsenal a bit of a buffer, which, listen, Arsenal have had a great start to the season, we can't argue about that.
Exactly.
I think there is going to be an element, they might do what Liverpool did a few years ago and have a bad month, where they'll lose or drop 3 or 4 games where they'll drop points and they'll just kind of mess themselves up because in order for Arsenal to win it now, you've got to have a perfect season.
And I still do think that, and look, they're doing well and they ground out a result at the weekend, didn't they, at Leeds. I do think that their squad depth, and you know, again, even I watched Spurs last night again, and all of a sudden Kulusevski's injured. But we don't look, our bench doesn't look as strong. It's okay, but you're not looking like, oh, hang on a minute, I've got Kulusevski and Richarlison on the bench, or like the other week when he left Son out, left Son on the bench, you know. So I think that element will come for Arsenal. That said, they might well, if they're there or thereabouts in January, surely that's the time to. We all know that you pay over the odds, but would it not be worth it if it then took them to the Premiership title? But I agree with you. I think Sunday's result for the neutral is really good because it just says, you know, Liverpool are still thereabouts. Man City aren't infallible, and you know, there's I think everyone's going to beat each other. City will still win it, and I still think City will end up winning it by a fair margin, is my opinion, because I think everybody else will beat each other.
Yeah. Interesting though was Haaland very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Gomez had a great game. I thought Van Dijk marshalled the back line well. Milner at right back, superb.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any issues with regards to that aspect. And we're going to talk a bit about Liverpool last night's game. But we'll quickly go through. So Friday night saw Brentford beat Brighton Hove Albion. Brighton now going to come in the sticky patch now. They've lost their manager. That consistency with a new guy coming in who maybe
I don't even know
lost in translations. An Italian, ex-Italian attacking midfielder.
They've not scored since he's been there, I don't think.
Oh, they scored 3 against Liverpool, but then since then it's been a drought.
But they've not won, have they, either?
No.
Not scored. That's it. Not scored in 3 and not won in 4. Is that right?
Yeah. But great result for Brentford and Ivan Toney pushing for potential spot on the play.
I think Carragher said he's got to go, hasn't he? As the backup striker, and what you said that there's some talk about. What about his penalty record?
Oh, his penalty record is 21 from 21, and at some point we know that World Cup will involve penalties.
Yeah.
Why would you not have potentially the best penalty taker in the Premier League?
Because undoubtedly he's not fitness permitting, and we touched with it that Kane's going to start.
Yeah, you're looking for a player that can maybe bring something slightly different, and I think Ivan Toney has that because he's got a bit of pace, he's great in the air, and he's got an ability like anybody else with penalties. So.
Yeah.
I think that might just edge him. I'd say probably Callum Wilson is probably his closest rival, but he can't keep fit.
Yeah, that's his biggest problem.
Calvert-Lewin is finally back, but is he too injury prone now? And has he got over all his injuries?
No, I don't. I'll be honest. I've never really rated him. Other than he is something different because he's big and quite mobile. But I'd definitely take him Tony.
Yeah,
he announces today, doesn't he? His initial 55-man squad or something. What's the point?
Right, yeah.
Tell me what the point of that is.
Yeah, why not just go? Let's leave a little bit longer. Let's go 30. Take them all away, then decide from there.
Anyway,
moving on to the Saturday's games, which, just going to bring them up, which saw Leicester draw with Crystal Palace in what can only be described as one of the worst games I've seen in a long time. How is Brendan Rodgers still in the job? I have no idea. Fulham 2, Bournemouth 2. Another great result for Gary O'Neill.
Yeah.
Must be staking a claim for that job. Wolves beat Forest 1-0 with a penalty, which is the first time Wolves have scored in the second half this season.
Yeah. And
what a bizarre fact.
And isn't there another bizarre fact that the number of penalties that they haven't been given or something? That was a bizarre thing as well. But
and then later on we saw Spurs play at Everton. So talk us through the Spurs-Everton game.
Well, I think you talk about being ruthless, if that's the word of the podcast. So in the week against they played in the Champions League, there was the lack of ruthless. They won in the end 3-2 with a missed penalty in injury time, but they were 3-0 up or 3-1 up cruising, having gone behind and then conceded another late one, and I think that's us, and I've said it before, and that they're not, people saying our Spurs aren't playing that well, they're yet to hit top gear. I don't think they are going to hit top gear. That's just the way Conte plays. His thing is, his philosophy is we stay tight, we'll hit on the break, and we try and use, at the minute, Bentancur to get through the lines, the width of whoever his full player, wing backs, and obviously Kane and Son. Richarlison started, came off injured unfortunately, but so I just thought they never looked in danger, did they?
No.
It was fairly comfortable, but it's not the most. We're not the most enjoyable side to watch.
I was going to say it's not exciting, is it, being a Spurs fan at the moment?
I think it can be, like towards the end of last season when we get, even last night when we lost, there were elements at times where you could see that they're back to front really quickly, but it's not the pass and movement game of Pochettino. It's not the pass and movement game of way back when Hoddle was there, or that kind of football. It's just not what it is. So whether he changes, whether he's holding it, whether he waits, and I noticed that he mentioned, didn't he, that he would have quite liked Eriksen as a playmaker. Whether he's just waiting to get that and we change, I don't know. But I don't think so. When you look at his record, that's the way he plays, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you can't, a 2-0 victory, you can't argue with that, and just unfortunately we didn't follow it up last night.
Yeah. Other results on the Sunday, so Chelsea beat Villa 2-0. Gerrard is another one that's going to be hanging in the balance along with Rodgers. Arsenal, as you mentioned before, beat Leeds United. Bamford missing a penalty. About the depth of the game there, that could have been a 1-1. United 0-0 with Newcastle, and first ever time I've seen this happen, it's somebody to hit the post, crossbar first, and the post initially straight after in one shot. I've never ever seen it happen before.
Joe Linton.
Yeah, Joe Linton hit the bar, rebound back to him, header off the post.
I think on Joe Linton, he was a bit unlucky there. I think Joe Linton is arguably the most improved footballer in the Premiership for the last 18 months.
Yeah, I think so. Because to find his position, he's not a striker.
Yeah.
And then we saw Southampton draw with West Ham, and we covered Liverpool versus Man City. So then we move on to Tuesday night, which saw Brighton 0, Forest 0, in a game that again can be described as dull as dishwater. And Palace, having gone behind to Wolves, end up coming back 2-1 with Zaha getting on the board and Eze, and my man Eze.
He's good. They're both good players.
I like Eze. And then the young other lad that's coming through, Elise, also chipped in with
They're all very similar players, aren't
Elise
they?
and Eze are very similar, and I like them both. Elise's French lad. Eze, is he English?
I think he's English.
English lad.
QPR, right?
Yeah, he came from there. I think they both came from QPR.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
Picked both of them up from there. But
He's doing a good job there, Vieira, isn't he? Just
he's quietly just moving around.
Do you know what I find with him, which is not bizarre, but you wouldn't say it, other than the one incident, he's very calm, isn't it?
Oh, unbelievably.
Compared to
what he was like on the pitch.
I know he kicked the fan the other last season, but that was the fans' fault, that was antagonistic, but he's very calm.
Yeah, when you think of what type of player he was, combative, aggressive, in people's faces, he's very chilled. It's almost like Arsene Wenger. Well, not quite Arsene Wenger, because he doesn't.
I do have the long coat.
Arsene would have sat down on his sleeves in his sleeping jacket. But yeah,
I'm sure he's got his ruthless side and lose like Wenger did. But yeah, he's doing a good job there. And it'll be interesting when a big job comes
Well, I was
up.
going to say, you look at that cluster of jobs that, let's say the Villa job comes up or the Leicester job comes up, are they big enough to tempt him away?
I don't think so. I think he'll wait. I think he'll wait and go for something bigger when he's in the
But is
Premiership.
Villa not? Because they've got spending capability.
I mean, the squad's probably better than Palace's, I would have thought. But then Villa just look. It's all. I mean, Coutinho's done nothing so far this season, and Tyrone Mings is minging.
Yeah. Well, I think he didn't want to start him, did he? But then Carlos had brought in. He's been injured, so he's in to play again.
But
watch his space.
Yeah, he's done a good job.
Bournemouth lost last night to Southampton, so he does it again.
Yeah.
Just when you think that he's another one that's potentially on the chopping board, Ralph pulls out another result.
I think Southampton board. I quite like them because they could have pulled the trigger on how many occasions, and particularly what Fraser when they got done 8 or 9. You know, I think we said it before. I think one of the reasons would be when they look there and go, if we sacked him,
what we're going to get in?
Who do we get? And you look at the people who've been sacked recently. Well, not Potter's left, right, and they've got a nobody in. All right, time will tell. It doesn't look like he's hitting the ground running. Wolves have sacked their manager. They're going to go to the guy at QPR who's managed 15 games on his own, won 7. So it's not like his win ratio is up there. And we've been with the number 2 at Rangers with Gerrard and at Villa. So it's not like they're screaming out for people, is it? You know, and also I think Southampton just go, do you know what? We've got a process. He's bringing players on. Let's just stick with them.
Yeah. Brentford managed to keep Chelsea to a 0-0. It's a good result for them. Liverpool beat West Ham last night in what can only be described as, when we talked about Liverpool's upturn of fortune and playing well, it was the complete opposite last night. And such a scrappy game where 7 Liverpool players couldn't even find a 5-yard pass. And the ball just pinged around a lot. It came down to, and I told it when it happened, I was sat with Harry watching this game last night, was as soon as Gomez made that challenge, I was like, it's a penalty. I was like, it's not. I'm like, when that comes up, that's getting reviewed. Just a clumsy, no need. He's not going towards goal, he's going towards the corner flag with his first touch. You don't need to even get involved in that. You just need to go along and just guide him away from the goal. So a really bit of a schoolboy error from Gomez. I thought Trent, again, didn't put himself in any glory with regards to defending. And again, his passing wasn't there. He just looks a shadow of the player that we used to see.
He looks a bit lethargic, do you not think?
I would
say
almost
disinterested.
I know I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I think I just said he looked tired and jaded.
Yeah.
Last night just looked, almost like, can I be bothered? There was one that came into the back post, and I think it might have been Benrahma had a volley at the back post. And as the cross came in, Trent, instead of going to where he should have been, stepped in to hold Samaka and left Joe Gomez to go past him to try and get across. And you're like, where are you going, man?
I obviously watched it either side of the Spurs game because it kicked off about half an hour before, and I flicked on towards the end of the Liverpool game during half time is when Benrahma did him, and it was just it was like watching him go past me, and then what a block and save, because he should have scored.
By Milner.
And then Sammy missed an open goal after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
But
the other one was Antonio picks the ball up in the middle, and he goes towards Trent, and he just gets flat-footed. And Antonio doesn't even need to do anything; just goes out to the right, goes past him, and you're like, "What type of defender?" I said to Harry, "I was like, what is he doing? Why is he not side on? Why is he not putting pressure on it?" It's just like he wasn't there. And then, funnily enough, 3 minutes later, Antonio's one-on-one with Robertson. He's inside on, holding him up. Antonio can't go anywhere, and then somebody comes back and helps nick the ball off him.
Yeah.
And even Harry's spotting, he's going, is it because he used to be a winger? And I'm like, well, maybe that's what, because I think he used to be a midfielder, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't really know exactly. I mean, like I've said before, although his quality wasn't there last night, I still, particularly now with Reece James looking not unlike that, for me, he plays for England, but I think we have to play him high and wide. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think Trent's, obviously, positives are going to be delivery, balls from set pieces, picking a pass from stupid area, but even in the last night's crossfield balls weren't particularly good.
But my fear is, I don't think that's how Southgate works.
No, I just think that maybe Trent could do with a little bit, like if we have a run of fixtures where we can say, right, let's not use it for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Just sitting down.
Just go and send him to go and refresh somewhere, get him to Dubai, a little bit of vitamin D. Trent, look, I've got a spare room, I'll hook him there.
Get on the pod, do some one-to-one defending in Stu's back garden.
Yeah, me and Harry will run it, yeah. And we'll work on that, but Trent the offer's there. Other results, Newcastle beating Everton.
Great finish.
Almiron, bit of purple packs at the moment. Fancy football people, you're going to put him in now, and then he won't score.
I did see a comment this morning that Almiron has scored more goals than last month.
5 goals compared to Grealish's 1.
Yeah, I did see that.
It's a lovely little comment.
Grealish has been busy elsewhere by all accounts.
Yeah, and then United beating Spursy 2-0, and from what you were texting me last night, because I just focused on the Liverpool game, was we are terrible.
Yeah, played terrible. I don't think there's any... A bit like I said earlier, don't take anything away from Manchester United. They played well, and their record at Old Trafford this year is very good. Beat Arsenal, beat Liverpool, Spurs and Chelsea. So something's going on there, to be fair to him. So don't take anything away from them. I mean, if it wasn't... First, I would say, 20 minutes, Spurs were in control, very, as I just said, the way we play. Didn't create anything, but that's not... That wouldn't always content. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, Man United, it was like they pressed the button, and well, I think Luis made 4 saves in the space for about 5 minutes, and that continued throughout. And so Man United were well worth it. Spurs, for me, just got exposed in midfield, giving the ball away a lot. I don't know whether if he was sat here now, because what I would say, they look tired, because he does play the same 11. You know, if I asked him if he was sat here, do you wish he'd have switched out 1 or 2 of the midfield players? Skipped back, fit came on. I don't know. I'm not saying it's an excuse, because at the end of the day, you want to play all this football, and I am one for playing your best 11.
Yeah. But I think when we take cuts and bolts for all, United obviously a great result, and Ten Hag seems to be getting a bit of a tune out of the players. Yeah. I think the biggest disappointment for Ten this morning will be the fact that everybody's talking about Ronaldo and his baby-like antics of walking off the pitch 2 minutes ago. Well, I say walking off the pitch, he was on the bench.
Yeah.
I've seen a heat map this morning. It shows a heat map where Ronaldo sat. So where the camera is now, it's a heat map there, and then his walk path to the changing room.
I saw a good comment this morning. I think it was Mika Rich on Match of the Day last night. I said, it's just pathetic, because he made it about himself. It should all be about what a great result it was. At the end of the day, like I've said, I don't think Spurs are in the title chase. I think they'll finish top 4. Conte said the same. Can't go from 9th to title contenders in 11 months. Much like Liverpool, can't go the other way.
Yeah.
But what's the result for Man United? After Sunday's draw to then, beat Spurs with 3rd going into that game, should all be about what's the result. And also things like, I thought Fernandes, actually, I don't like him, had a decent game. Fred was good. For the thing, the 2 goals, they had a bit of element of luck about them, but you make your own luck, don't you? But it should all be about Man United, and instead, all the headlines again will be about that.
Just before we move off football for the rest of this pod, I just want to say, interestingly, there's 2 fixtures tonight, which could lead to a double sacking tomorrow.
Leicester.
Fulham beat Villa.
Yeah.
That's surely Gerrard's gone. And if Leicester lose at home to Leeds, considering the fans are already on his back at the moment, surely we could see Rodgers and Gerrard potted in the morning.
You've got to have coffee together. They're good mates, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, great relationship, them two.
It could be. I said at the time, pretty sure if I went back, that I'm not sure if I was Steven Gerrard, I would have gone to Villa. I'd have stayed
with Rangers
because you just got him into the Champions League, haven't you? But I guess the lure of the Premier League, and it's a massive club. Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, right. Do you want to go cricket?
Well, just to sort of say that the T20 World Cup is up and running in Australia.
So just for people that don't understand, at the moment it's more like qualifiers.
Yeah, so
it's like a prelim.
So they've got yes, basically round 1. So from round 1 you've got 2 groups of 4, and then there's a Super 12. So there's 8. the top 8 ranked teams in T20 ladder made the Super 12 straight away.
And that's done over the course of what, 2 years?
Well, since last. Well, because they're out of sync because of COVID, so we only had it last year.
Oh, so just 1 year worth of results.
So the top 8. So that top 8 would straight through. Then they start. The Super 12 starts next week. So that top 8 are England, Australia, India, Pakistan,
New Zealand,
Afghanistan, Bangladesh. Plus one more.
It's going to be South Africa?
South Africa, yeah. So they're the 8. So the 2 groups that are playing now are playing for a spot in the Super 12.
Because it's dead bizarre. Windies in it, aren't they?
Yeah, because they didn't qualify. So and they lost their first game to Zimbabwe. Yeah, I think. So anyway, you've got it. It looks now, and obviously a bit of a vested interest in this because the UAE have qualified, which is a great achievement in itself. First qualification to the T20 World Cup.
But they're just about out.
Yeah, because they lost to Holland. They only got under them 15, but Holland got them in the last over 1 ball to spare on Sunday, and then they lost.
They lost quite a bit though. Was it 73 they put on the board, but the other team very got 140, 150.
Yeah, they lost heavily on Monday, Tuesday. So they play today pretty much out. So I think you'll find it'll be West Indies and I don't know, Ireland probably beat Scotland.
Oh, I was going to say because Scotland beat
Scotland. So in that group, everyone won 1 game. Scotland. Yeah, so Scotland beat West Indies.
Yeah.
And Zimbabwe beat Ireland. Yesterday, West Indies beat Zimbabwe and Ireland beat Scotland. So they've all won 1.
Wow.
I think you'll find it'll be Ireland and West Indies that'll go through from there.
So that'd be decent games to watch then because it's a fair whack of pressure.
Yeah, and then I think they're tomorrow. And today, Holland, UAE. I think the other 2 nations will be Sri Lanka, who lost the first one. That's who UAE lost to, and I think who the other one is. Who the heck did the other one go?
Somebody like Oman.
Yeah, no, it's not them, but it's not a bad shout. Either way, I think you'll find it'll be Sri Lanka and Holland will go through from that one.
Okay,
so,
right.
So then they go through. So then like the Super 12 starts on Monday.
Okay, so good time to. Bad timings? What are the timings like for us?
Yeah, it's alright at the minute because we're off, but it's 8 o'clock in the morning and midday. Okay. So I think England starts Saturday against Afghanistan.
Okay, right.
They will be one of the favourites, England.
Yeah, I believe so. Right, so talking about one World Cup, we're going to flick over to another one. The Rugby League World Cup started last week. And England opened the competition at St James's Park, Newcastle, and absolutely pumped Samoa 66. And this is a bit of a surprise because Samoa are one of the dark horses that should have done okay, and as usually do alright anyway, because they're usually big, thick set lads that just run through brick walls. But England making a bit of a statement early doors in regards to that, so it'll be interesting what goes on with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about the rugby league. I used to watch it a lot when the Super League first came on Friday night. I used to got into it a bit then, and in the sort of mid-90s, but I'm only going to go on what our rugby experts who we talked to, like my brother and Charlie, said. And basically, they said the same, that they were not really, England probably weren't fancied, certainly not fancied to thrash them like they did. So
no, I think your top 2 teams are going to be New Zealand and Australia. They're the ones in rugby league that are usually quite dominant, especially because England used to play the Tri-Nations tournament with them. They were like the 3 super powers.
It's northwest. It's your part of the world, isn't it?
That seems to be, rugby league. Anything from north of Stoke is rugby league territory.
What a place Stoke is, by the way.
Whew, what a place it is. You can see some signs there. Looks like Jack's seen some signs there.
Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks.
Right, okay, on that note. Fancy football, keep going with your fancy football. I'm having an absolute shocker, but this week I didn't do too bad.
26
I did use the old... I'm just going to quickly bring it up now. I used the old free pass this week.
Oh, did you free hit or whatever you call it?
Free hit. So I'm currently on 47 points for this week with a couple of games to go.
I've got more than that. I've got 26. So I didn't realise the Arsenal-Man City game had gone.
Yeah, because of Arsenal playing in the European Cup tonight. So the top of ours is Mike Collins still with a small lead over last year's reigning champion, Tom Jackson. In third place, Gwyn Williams, who's always around with his fluffy shoes.
He always ain't got a job.
Yeah, he works for ESM, so pretty much
ain't got a job.
Doesn't have a job. And then Gareth Palmer makes up top 4, and then Rhys Davies makes up the top 5. But Booth is up to 52nd. There we go. I don't know how far we're going to have to go down to find you, Jack. Big Lefty is down to 70th.
There you go.
And who knows where Shrek is. And the best thing is always have a look at the bottom. Is Bertley Duck is 96, followed by our friend at Radisson Red, Stuart Birkwood, 95th. Nick Latham in 94th with his son in 93rd. And then our old mate Henry in 92nd. So, looking good down there, boys.
Yeah.
Pretty strong because you're holding the rest of us up.
Very good.
But yes, at the end of the day, Jack,